to the Pelican Brief with your host, David Tatman.
Welcome to the Pelican Brief, where we give you the most up-to-date information on all things in Louisiana politics. And today, we're excited to have one of the gubernatorial candidates with us, Representative Richard Nelson, who's running for governor. And so, Richard, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're glad to have you, and we're excited that you're putting yourself out there for public service. And, there may be a lot of people in our audience who don't know who you are, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I represent Mandeville, basically on the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain. District runs basically from the Chafunta River to Fountainbleu State Park. Pretty small district, pretty conservative district, but I grew up there, went to Mandeville High. I was actually valedictorian at Mandeville High. I was an Eagle Scout as well, and then went to LSU after that. Graduated in 3 years with a degree in biological engineering. Graduated at the top of my class. Went to LSU Law after that. Wasn't done with LSU football, so got a scholarship to go to LSU Law. Spent 3 years there. Graduated, again in the top of my class, and then joined the Foreign Service, the U.S. Department of State. Spent 7 years moving all over the world. Went to Washington D.C., Germany, and the former Soviet Republic of Georgia. So lived kind of all over the world, traveled even more broadly, did a lot of work, mostly security work, protecting embassies from terrorism and espionage. It was lots of fun. And then we came back to DC, and we were supposed to move to Nairobi, Kenya from there. And I got an opportunity to come back home, move back to Mandeville. Told my wife, hey, if I ever got back, then I would run for office, try to improve things here in Louisiana. And it just so happened there was a lot of there was an open seat in Mandeville. I was able to run. I came back in 2017 and then got elected in 2019. So it was a kind of an adventure. And since then, I've been in the legislature, working on some big stuff.
Well, that's great. Tell us a little bit about your family, because you have a beautiful family. So you have.
It's mostly my wife's fault. I didn't have really that much to do with it.
So you have three boys, right?
Yeah. So I have three boys. They're 9, 7, and 4, and they all go to Pontchartrain Elementary, so the oldest two at least go to Pontchartrain Elementary in Mandeville. Actually, I was the first graduating class of Pontchartrain Elementary. They opened the school right when I got there. And so, they're great. We do Cub Scouts in every sport. So we're always doing sports. That people ask me like, oh, what do you do? Everyone in Louisiana loves sports, and they're like, well, what do you do? You like football, whatever? And I was like, I like whatever season it is, because I'm there all the time at the Little League, baseball or baseball or whatever else, basketball. It's always a.
So I have 3 grown children, and I'll tell you they're the best times of your life. So enjoy them while you have them, because all that's over for me.
I'm not a bad sports parent. I'm there to observe. I don't, I tell my kids they're probably going to be mathletes like their dad. They're not particularly gifted in sports. So,
well, since you're running for governor, if you do act badly, I'm sure it will come up on a TikTok video or YouTube video somewhere. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what made you want to run for governor and take on this incredibly demanding statewide race? Yeah,
so I've been in the legislature now, coming up on 4 years, and I spent a lot of time looking at the problems here, and I looked at them before I actually got elected, and I thought I knew what I was, I thought I knew something about it, and I didn't really realize until I actually got in there and really dug into a lot of the issues of where Louisiana's challenges are, how long they've been around, but really when you dig into it, I look at it as, what is the ways to really fix the state? What are the big issues? I'm not there to just name bridges and go to cocktail parties. That's a waste of my time. I looked at it as, let's find the fundamental issues. I'm an engineer. What's the root cause of, Louisiana's challenges? Because it seems to me, and I think most people in Louisiana, that we have everything. We have so many advantages. It's just a tragedy that we're always on the, the bottom of all these lists. So how does that happen? And so, honestly, I looked at it and I said, well, where are we? How do we get here? And I think if you can trace a lot of it back to Huey Long, right? So Huey Long was a governor in the 30s. The last time Louisiana added a congressional seat, which is the last time we grew faster than the rest of the country, was actually 1910. So kind of right before Huey Long became governor. So what he did is he centralized a lot of power in Baton Rouge, centralized a lot of power in the governor's office. And he basically said that if you want to get anything done, whether you're a local government or you're a business, you got to come kiss the ring. And that's the only way you're going to get it done. And it's still that way today. And so I think that's one of the major challenges. And so one of the things he did was actually he created the income tax as a kind of a way to centralize power and authority. He created the income tax. And when you look at the states next to us, like Texas and Florida, that have really grown, they've grown 6 times faster than us in the last 10 years, the last census. They've been growing, leaps and bounds beyond us, and they don't have an income tax. They have a completely different form of government where it's really decentralized. So, local government solves those problems. So, that was always that was from the very beginning. That was one of my main charges was, hey, let's fix our tax system. Let's make it, one, competitive with our neighbors. And then 2, let's give locals the ability to fund themselves so that it's not this Huey Long centralization style government. And it's really much more effective at solving people's problems because, just going around the state, both as a representative and now as a gubernatorial candidate, people complain about stuff. What they complain about is like roads, schools, police, right? And those are all really local issues that if the state wasn't sucking up so much of the resources, that would be available to fix those problems because that's really what the problems are people have with government. They want their roads paved, they want their kids to go to good schools, and they want to be safe. And in reality, those are local problems that they really need the resources to fix. So, that was one of those things. I look at this as what are the foundational issues in Louisiana? How can you actually fix them? I've tried in the legislature, but working part-time a couple months out of the year is not the way to make these big foundational changes. You really have to do it as governor because that's the way that you can sell these things, which most of them are constitutional changes that have to happen. And so as governor, you have the ability to really force these big changes to really improve people's lives.
Yeah, so I've been around for a long time, and all of those things you say are true. There definitely is a centralized, you have to come to Baton Rouge, kiss the ring, and get the dollars. And if we allowed, as a former school board member, if we allowed the locals to not have to go in and battle for those dollars, I think it makes a big difference. And what is it? All politics are local, right? And that's a better way to do it. So we're going to pretend that you just got elected. Okay, you like that?
Yes,
I
love it.
So you just got elected. What are the first things you're going to do?
So honestly, I think I've spent a lot of time on this income tax proposal. I brought a bill in 2021 to do that. I'm going to bring another version of it this year. We spent, a numerous committee meetings and a study resolution that I had last year where we had the Ways and Means Committee meet to study, all the tax system from top to bottom and how to improve it and how to fix it for Louisiana. And I think one of the first things I would do is call a special session to really implement those changes because at least the version that I have now, it's a 4-year process to phase out the income tax and make a lot of those changes to make it more like Texas or Florida, Tennessee, these states that are booming. So it's going to take 4 years from the moment you get approval on a constitutional amendment. So I would have a special session that first year to implement those changes. I would go around the state and get buy-in from people and sell the idea because I think that's really what you have to do. That would be my major push that first year. I mean, and that's a foundational change. Like it's not, you're not, rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. That's, completely turning the ship around and changing the course of Louisiana forever. So that would be my first goal. My number one priority would be to make those foundational shifts. The second thing I would do is really focus on education. That's kind of the other piece that I've worked a lot on in the legislature. One of my big pushes and bills is to improve elementary literacy. We have a third grade, a bill to hold back third graders if they can't read, give them extra training and tutoring and stuff so that they can be successful moving forward. If I pass that this year, that's still going to have to be implemented, which is going to require a lot of work to make sure that it's implemented well. That would be a big focus, and that's been shown when you look around the country at states like us, like Mississippi, to really move them from the very bottom to above average, and they've kind of blown us out of the water from bills like that. And so I would make sure that we can really build that education system, how to improve it. I tell people, look, every day, every week, I will talk about 2 things. How do we fix the tax structure, make it more competitive, bring jobs and people here? And then the second is how do we improve the education system to really, create that foundation that the state needs to succeed. And that'll be my focus, definitely for the first year and probably the entire term. Because if you can fix, the education system and the tax system here, Louisiana would be a completely different place.
Yeah, I loved your bill. What happened to it? Can you share?
Yeah, sure. So, basically, it didn't really get much resistance. The third grade retention bill didn't really get much resistance throughout the whole process. And then it got to the floor of the Senate on the third or fourth of the last day, and we hit a speed bump. And some people weren't there. We got 18. I think it died 18-14, right, in favor. But we needed 2 more votes to get the majority. And we're going to bring it back. I already filed it again this year. and I think I'll be able to get the support. I think we got a lot more public awareness now than we had last time, and I think that we'll be able to get it passed this year.
Look, I'm a former school board, I like to say recovering school board member, but I think we know that if kids are not at reading level, at grade level at that point, the chances of them graduating with their cohort is just out of the, it almost dooms them in terms of their future. And I think it's a great idea, and I can't imagine anyone would be against it. But maybe that's why I'm not on the school board anymore.
Yeah, there's politics, I guess. But
but I do appreciate your leadership in that arena because it is good. And Mississippi's done some great things with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they were 49th in the country in 2013 when they passed that bill, which was below us, and now they're 21st. So I mean, this is a state that is very similar to us, similar challenges, and yet they've been able to, grow by leaps and bounds. This was a major part of their package. I passed some other bills last year that were also part of their package that, really focuses on phonics and phonics training for teachers. And I think that will improve it as well. But this is one of those pieces when you look around the country about what's really effective, like this piece is really critical.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing to be behind Mississippi, though, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, we used to say, thank God for Mississippi, right? Because they're always behind us. Now they passed us, and we're looking over our shoulder at Puerto Rico.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're all for Puerto Rican statehood, so they'll come in last. So I guess I'd also, let's talk a little bit about how you're going to win this campaign, right? It's I've been around for a long time. I've been involved in some statewide campaigns. They're brutal, they're difficult, and it's about catching fire at the right time. So how are you going to win this campaign? What's your plan?
Yeah, so, my message and my strategy is to really bring real solutions, not talk about general rhetoric about how we're going to cut taxes and bring jobs, but I have bills filed. I'm going to promote those ideas. Getting rid of the income tax, this is how we can do it. People are going to like some of it, and they're not going to like other things. But at the end of the day, it's a concrete answer. And I go around promoting those ideas. And I think that that's what's really important. And honestly, it's missing from politics these days that you actually use this political process to convince people that this is how you fix things. I joke and say I'm a politician, but I like to think of myself kind of like a doctor, right? I'm trying to sell people on eating right and exercising, and it's not always easy. But if you don't, you're never going to get, you're never going to improve. You're never going to get better. So being younger, I think I can leverage social media. I obviously had a fundraising advantage compared to some of my opponents. I don't have $8 million. I haven't been around forever to squeeze it out of people. I have to go with, good ideas and, hard work. So that's what we got. But I think social media is kind of a great equalizer. They say sometimes, you ever heard that quote? They say, God didn't make men equal, Samuel Colt did, right? And so it's a similar thing. It's like, social media kind of puts us all on the same page. You don't have to spend $50,000 a pop to try and reach people. I mean, it gives you the opportunity that if you have a good message and if you can, really get it out there, it's free, essentially. If people believe it and people are looking for something different, you can sell it. So, I appreciate that as a kind of a way to reach people. I try to do that, wherever I go around the state. I've been traveling around the state a lot, and, I try to make social media and try to incorporate that into it because that's a way that you can reach lots of people, not just shake 50 hands, but 50,000 hands at a time, right? So that's a key part of my strategy. And then I think also just being different. I'm very bipartisan. I'm one of the most bipartisan members of the legislature, and I think that's kind of missing from politics in general and in Louisiana. I try to work. I try to vote on ideas. I try to fight for ideas. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. Doesn't make any difference. I think that you really have to say, how is this going to improve the lives of the people of Louisiana? And that's what I'm fighting for. Most of the time I talk to people, they come up to me afterward and they're like, so you Democrat or Republican, right? I don't put that in the speech. It doesn't matter. What matters is, do you have the ideas to actually fix the state's problems? That's what really matters, and that's what I'm going around selling.
Yeah, you are, again, been around a long time. I keep saying that, but you clearly hit the ground running as a young legislator. You learned the process very quickly, and that's amazing considering COVID, right? That was a game changer even for us because it definitely interrupted the flow of the maturation process of the newer legislators. So, okay, this is your moment. You can tell our viewers and our listeners closing thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a really critical time for Louisiana. I think one of the messages that I bring a lot is that if Louisiana was just average, if we were just average in the country, we'd all live 4 years longer and get a 33% raise. So that is the scope of the challenge in front of us, right? Is how do you get those people in Louisiana, how do you get them that 4 years of their life back and a 33% raise? If they drive across the border into Texas, you get 3.5 years of your life back and a 33% raise. So that's the cost of bad government here. It really is. And so the people of Louisiana deserve more than that. But it's going to take big changes, big solutions. It's not going to be just the general political rhetoric that we've been used to for the last 100 years. It's going to take actual problem solving. It's going to take actual, honestly, convincing of the population that we need to go in a different direction. We have to change the course of the state. And I think that is a message that really resonates. I mean, I think people can accept, look, my kids are moving to Texas. Look, my kids are moving to Florida. My neighbors, all these things. We all know people like that. And so we don't have to do that. I came back here. I was I left after graduation. Most of my colleagues and, fellow students and stuff, a lot of them left. But I came back because I really believe in the state of Louisiana. I believe we can do better. And I can see, I see it. The words on paper are really what's holding us back. Like, we have all the resources. We have everything we need to succeed. But if we don't get the policy right, then it's not going to happen and the opportunity is going to pass us by. But, at the end of the day, like I say, there's words on paper. We can change it. You just need the leadership. I think you need the vision to do it. And that's what I'm bringing to the table. And I hope I can convince, 50% plus one that that's the way to go. And if not, I hope I can move the discussion. I can move what we're looking for toward those real solutions that will get those people, the 4 years of their life and a 33% raise, because I think that's something everyone deserves.
Yeah, I think those are great points. So tell our audience how they get in touch with you, contribute. What's the how do we connect with you?
Yeah, sure. So I have a website, nelsonforla.com. If you go there, you kind of find everything about me. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everything else you can find me. If you probably just Google Richard Nelson, Louisiana, I'll pop up. But Nelson for LA is my website. It has all that stuff on there, and you can find out. Donate. We'd love it. It'd be great to fight with resources too. But also you can contact us on there. If you want me to come speak or come get coffee or something, I'm happy to do it.
Well, great. Well, we appreciate that, and we'll put all of that on the screen. And we'll also put it in our taglines. You can follow the Pelican Brief on all of the major platforms, podcast platforms at Pelican Brief 225. You can also follow us on YouTube at The Pelican Brief 225. We want to thank Richard Nelson for being here. We'll probably have him back. It's a long time until the fall, but thank you for your time, and thank you for your commitment to serve Louisiana.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We're out.
The Pelican Brief is an off-script production.